What's happening Instagram? What's happening Facebook? I am joined by the legendary Bill Lepree of South Florida Bass Charters, and today we're going to be talking about the outdoors. We're going to talk about freshwater, saltwater, growing up in the Keys, our Alaska trip, and some really cool things that Bill and I have coming up this year. So without further ado, we will get started. Bill, give us a short background on you.
Okay. I was born in Nutley, New Jersey. My parents moved here to Boca Raton, Florida when I was 2 months old. So basically a Florida native, almost.
Okay.
You know, just missed out on that. But yeah, kind of grew up, went to school in Boca, and had an older brother who had a charter boat down in Almirada in the Keys. He's like 15, 16 years older than me. And my Uncle Joe is also was a backcountry guide back there. He's just recently retired.
Gotcha.
So I was the youngest of 5 kids by 8 or 9 years. So in the summers, my parents shipped me to the Keys to hang out with them and fish, and really got to do a lot of cool stuff down there growing up. So 3 months a year, lived in the Keys, and then moved down there permanently when I was 18 to take a job on a sport fishing boat and spent a few years down there.
So talk to me about that time on that sport fishing boat. You guys were targeting, I'm sure, all kinds of big game. What was your MO out there?
Yeah, we worked on a private boat for a private owner. I started there, and we went to St. Thomas for about 4 months.
Okay.
Left July of 1990. Got down there, did some charters and some fishing with the owner.
Excellent.
And ended up, releasing over 100 blue marlin my first 4 months out of high school.
Excellent.
So that was a good start.
No, dude, that's way cool.
I kind of started at the top, but it was a great experience.
Nothing wrong with that, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So now talk to me a little bit more about your time here. You spent a lot of time in the Keys. What did Palm Beach, or this whole kind of greater 561 kind of area, what did that offer you in terms of the outdoors?
I think mainly, we didn't really have a boat here when I was in middle and high school. So we used to fish the piers. Okay. We used to fish the inlets. We used to fish canals, did a lot of land-based fishing, pier fishing, stuff like that. Did get out on the boat some, especially in the summers down with my brother. But when I was home, a lot of snook fishing around bridges, spillways, fishing the pier, swimming out shark baits.
You've covered it all at that point then.
Oh, yeah. You learn a lot fishing on a pier.
Cool.
You have a lot of downtime to practice knots, too, which is good.
That makes sense. So now let's talk a little bit more. And guys, again, we're doing a giveaway. We're actually going to be giving away a bucket hat pack for whoever can drop in the comments the coolest freshwater fishing story. So that could be a giveaway. Okay. Bucket hats are like an awesome product. They keep you out of the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. So
again, we're joined by Bill Lepree of South Florida Bass Charters. You can find him on Instagram. He's got really, really epic content. And you catch the super weird clown knife fish.
Yep.
We're going to talk more about the clowns towards the end here. But that's awesome stuff. But in the meantime, we're going to play a game of this or that.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start off slow, and then we're going to get into a lightning round.
Okay.
All right. You can't deviate from the this or that. It's got to be one or the other.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start off slow. Mercury or Yamaha?
Yamaha.
Ooh. All right. Salt or fresh?
Fresh right now.
Okay. Kite fishing or trolling?
Kite fishing.
Apple or Android?
Apple, 100%.
Oof. Meat fishing or catch and release?
Meat fishing.
Okay.
I like eating fish.
All right. Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram, definitely.
Damn. All right. Penn or Shimano?
Shimano. Sorry, Penn.
Okay. Center consoles or sport fish?
Sport fish.
All right. I think Bill is ready for the lightning round.
Okay.
All right. Mono or fluoro?
Mono.
Circle hooks or J hooks?
J.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Spinners or bait casters?
Bait catcher. I meant to say Coke.
Fuck. All right. Well, that was good. Again, guys, we're doing a live giveaway. Anybody who can drop the best freshwater fishing story is going to win a bucket hat pack. And that goes to, of course, Facebook and Instagram. Guys, if you have any questions, we'll happily answer in the comments. Bill is a wealth of information, super well-versed on both freshwater and salt. So now we're going to move on. We've got all kinds of good stuff to talk about today. So talk to me more about running that Hatteras. That's a big, gorgeous boat. Tell me more about the boat. Tell me more about what you did on it.
Well, I've run a couple Hatterases, actually.
Okay.
But, when I was about 25 years old, I was a mate for a friend of mine who was a captain. And the captain didn't know a lot about fishing. Okay. After I mated with them a couple times, he took me aside and said, "Hey, I'm building a new 65 Hatters. I'd like you to run it when it's finished." So I was like, wow, my friend runs this boat. I don't want to like, you know, cause a controversy here, but hey, I didn't, you know, so the owner later like tried to get me to fire him. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But in the end, he understood because the guy wanted to do some hardcore fishing in the Bahamas and stuff like that. So it worked out in the end. But so, yeah, it's really cool. We built the boat. I delivered it from New Bern, North Carolina. I was like 25, so I was young and I was like pretty nervous about this guy, you know, building a $3.5 million boat and saying, here's the keys, dude.
Sure.
Take it. Like,
so tell me about delivering a boat. A lot of people, I'm sure, are kind of definitely out of the loop on that. What does that entail?
Well, when the boat's finished, you fly up to the factory. And I brought the guy that was my mate at the time. And, you know, they give you like a kind of a tutorial about the boat and the systems. And because they're very complicated when you get into a real big sport fisherman like that. So they give you a tour, and then usually they'll send a guy with you for the first day or two because something's going to break. I mean, it's a brand new boat. So, and then after a day or two, if they're comfortable and you're comfortable, then they'll fly their captain, you know, back to wherever the boat's built. And then we continued on. So it took us, I think it took us 3 days. We kind of went slow. I had the owner and his wife on the boat.
Gotcha.
So they wanted to stop along the way and not hardcore, you know, run day and night offshore. So
what were some cool spots that you got to see along the way?
I believe we stopped in Charleston, South Carolina, which is really nice.
A lot of good fishing there. While the white marlin tournaments are there.
White marlin tournaments are up that way. Yes, Ocean City, Maryland.
There you go.
You know, was the big one. So we made a couple stops. We stopped in St. Augustine, which is one of my
another great
favorite
area.
Cities. It's funky. It's cool. You know, it's old. Historic.
Yes.
Easy city to walk.
Right.
Which is nice. And the marina is located in a really good spot in St. Augustine just to get off the boat and walk around and, you know, see all the stuff. So yeah, that's a cool stop. And that was it on that trip. You know, there's different captains are more comfortable stopping in different places. Charleston's a big one. Sure. Because it's a big seaport. They have lots of fuel and a good marina and deep water, and you know it's not tricky like some of the smaller inlets you know, around there.
Awesome. So now tell me a really epic fishing story. I know you've released hundreds of billfish in your life. I'm sure you've caught an absolute ridiculous amount of tuna. What's the one story that stands out most to you?
Well, we were in Cozumel, Mexico. And we were picking up some clients there and taking them back to Puerto Aventuras, which is the marina on the mainland side in the Yucatan. And actually, we were dropping them off. And on the way back, my sister-in-law never caught a blue marlin.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, my brother's like, hey, it's about a 15-mile trip across the Yucatan. It's all deep water. You can catch sailfish, marlin, everything on the way while you're going across. You may as well put a couple baits out and go slow.
Of course.
Save fuel, whatever. So I'm like, cool. So I had a Mexican kid that worked with us. It was me, and my brother at the time was the captain of the boat. My sister-in-law was there. So we're all sitting up on the bridge of the boat, and we're just cruising. We got a couple big marlin lures out the back, doing 10 knots on our chugging back to the marina. Fast. And of course, the clicker just starts singing. None of us saw the bite. None of us we're just kind of relaxing up on the bridge. So I'm like, we got him on. And the fish never jumped. So I put my sister-in-law in the fighting chair. And we never saw the fish. The swivel came up, and we had about a 30-foot leader attached to it. And I saw this black shape down deep. So I'm like, oh, it's a big wahoo. So I told my Mexican mate, I'm like, get the gaff, you know, get ready. Well, I took 2 wraps on the leader and gave it a pull, and the fish jumped and completely in the air. My arm was stretched out 30 feet. My brother said it was above his eye level on the bridge. Wow. Came back in the water. The leader got wrapped on my hand and broke both of these fingers completely. You know, no. Both of my index and my middle finger on my left hand, and I broke 500-pound monofilament on my hand. Wow. That's how.
That definitely will probably stand out.
So I was lucky I didn't go over and die, number one. Wow. But I took my welding gloves off because you wear heavy gloves when you're leadering billfish. And both of my fingers were just dangling. And we're in the middle of the Yucatan. So I took a bag of frozen peas, put them on my hand, and they put me in a taxi because we were 40 miles from Cancun, from the marina, where the closest doctor is that you would actually go to. Sure. And so they... I remember the doctor put the x-ray up on the thing there, and my brother and I are sitting there. He's like, it's broke, because he couldn't speak English. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So that was it. I had a cast on my hand that whole season, Like, and I only had.
You tell me you still fished.
Oh yeah, I still fished. I fished right through it, but I had ballyhoo juice, like got in the cast.
Oh no!
So I used to have to sleep with it, like in a garbage bag, like over my head, like that.
Oh,
yeah, it was really bad. So that's something that you don't like. That happened to me personally, you know. But there's a lot of shenanigans, a lot of stuff going on when you're over there, like traveling on those boats. Not everything that you can really share with, you know.
No, for sure. No, that's a good story.
Yeah,
I like
that was one that came to mind.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and we'll move on. Tell me a little bit about tournament day. Have you had any really epic tournament days or really, really hard tournament days?
I mean, the best one, the one that I always think about is like a friend of mine, Scott, and I were running a boat for the Miami Billfish tournament. This was probably in the mid to late 90s. And we were like out of it. Like we were in like 35th place in the big boat division, which was what paid the big money.
Of course.
And so the third day, back then it was 2 full days and a half day. So there was 1 hour left in the last day, the third day. In the last hour, we released 6 sailfish.
Nice.
Went 6 for 6 and won first place, and won like at the time, which was a ton of money for me, like $15,000 or $20,000.
Oh man, that's
and we pulled it off like and literally released the last fish with like 30 seconds to go.
Wow.
So it was crazy. It was just meant to be, right place at the right time.
For sure.
And I was with a guy that was a really good sail fisherman as well. So he got us on the fish.
Excellent.
I did my job. I was in the cockpit, and that was pretty intense.
I love it. That's way cool. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we're doing a bucket hat giveaway. Drop your best freshwater fishing story in the comments, and we're going to give away a bucket hat. And again, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got tons of epic content on there. And me and Bill are going to talk about it here in a little bit. So you and I actually went on a really cool trip not too long ago. You and I did an absolute bucket list trip.
Sick trip.
We went to Sitka, Alaska. Tell us a little bit about that trip.
Well, it was something that really wouldn't have even crossed my radar, but one of my good customers on my my South Florida bass charters, on the charters I do freshwater stuff, he goes every year. So he was telling me how great it was every time he was fishing with me. He's getting ready to go. I was like, maybe I'll think about it, whatever. Then finally, I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's go check it out. It sounds so cool. I saw his pictures of the halibut and the salmon and all that stuff. Kind of got me pumped. So yeah, it was because of Dave, my friend Dave, that really kind of got me interested in doing it. Once I talked to him about it enough, and was kind of like, yeah, this sounds like something I want to experience, and I'd never been out there before. So it was a completely new experience, like 180 degrees from what I'm used to doing, like in the Caribbean. It's
a totally different world. Tell us about day one. The waters were just full disclosure, guys. We were in crazy surf. We were in like a 28-foot boat, and we had days that were close to
It was 10 foot. There were some 10-foot swells with some chop on top. It wasn't for anyone with a weak stomach. That's for sure.
Or me for that matter.
No.
And I had
we did a little chumming there the first day.
It's true, which is it's a very out of character for me. By
Everybody was, except me and the captain and the mate. I mean, there wasn't anybody that didn't hurl that day.
That's true. But we did catch more than half a limit. We actually had a pretty good day one, a pretty good day two. Overall, I think we had a catch total of 115 salmon.
I believe that. All of that, for sure.
I'm trying to think how many halibut. We had a ton of halibut.
I think we had like 10 or 15 at least, or whatever our limit was every time we tried to do it.
It's true. It was a good trip.
That was super fun. That was awesome.
Now you have another trip that you're getting ready to do. Where are you going?
I'm going to the Amazon to catch peacock bass, but the really big ones. We only catch butterfly peacock bass here in Florida, which get up to like 10 pounds. Down in the Amazon, they get up to like 25, even 30 pounds sometimes. But,
That's a
lot of fish in the teens, which is super cool, exciting, something that I've always wanted to do. I've got a really nice customer of mine who invited me to join him on the trip, and it took me like 2 seconds to say yes.
That seems to be the way to do these trips, is just find people who are going and tag along.
Exactly. And I mean, it's the guy who runs the lodge has a good reputation and stuff, and it's gonna be really fun. I can't wait.
That's a big thing, I think, is having like a really good guide, because I mean, it's South America. If you're out there and you don't know who you're with or what you're doing, that could be really dangerous.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to go with someone who's reputable, who's got a lot of someone you can get some feedback about, that's been doing it for a long time, that you trust. I mean, because I don't know anything about that part of the world.
For sure.
I could take you to a lot of places and tell you what to do and not to do. South America is really not one of them.
Sure.
Brazil, I've never been there, so Yeah, you definitely want to find someone you trust.
Agreed. So we're looking forward to content from the Brazil trip. I know you're going to send us all kinds of really epic pictures and video. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Okay. We're going to play a game that we call Plead the Fifth.
Okay.
We're going to ask you a handful of pretty tough questions. You can't deviate from the question. Like, we've got to, like, you can either answer it or you can plead the fifth. You get one plead the fifth.
Okay. And out of how many questions?
We're going to do 5. We're going to try to do 5. I've got 4 written down. I'm hoping one of these answers is going to
stimulate a new question.
Yeah, man. Okay. That's the plan.
Okay.
All right. So, question number 1. What is the most Googan move you have ever seen on your boat? And for those of you who do not know what a Googan is, it is someone who thinks they know about fishing who totally doesn't. So, Bill, what is the most Googan move you have ever seen on your boat?
Last year, I had one of my customers just set his rod on the deck, like with the bail closed, and go like get a beer out of the cooler, and a fish ate it and went flying out of the boat. And I lost like my $350 combo.
Oh my gosh! All right, that's a Googan move.
That's a good move.
Threw him under the bus, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. He'll be all right.
All right, so here's a tough question: have you ever fished with a hotter woman than your old lady?
I plead the fifth.
Oh no, that's question number 2.
That's a tough.
It's on, my dude.
There's no way. I can't answer that one.
All right, then here we go. Tell me about the most uncool person that you have ever fished with? Not Googan, just most uncool. Can't plead the fifth.
Man, that's. I'm trying to think of someone that's probably not watching this. Man, that's a really hard one to answer.
No.
Robert's really uncool. He's really mean to his crew.
No. Oh man! All right, that was good.
That's who comes to mind. I mean, he's tough.
All right, now who is the best angler you've ever fished with? This is a tough one because everyone who's not this person is getting thrown under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, but these are just people that I've fished with. There's a lot of great anglers out there that I haven't fished with.
Fair enough.
No offense to any of those guys. Sam Jennings, he was probably one of the most legendary blue marlin anglers of all time. I was fortunate enough to fish with him in 1990, and at that time he was an older guy, and it would be rough. And he was pitch baiting big blue marlin, like stand up.
Wow.
Like not a big deal, caught the biggest fish we caught down there that season. He's just got a great reputation and a good guy. I mean, just a good ambassador to like the whole marlin fishing, bill fishing community.
Well said. So last one, have you witnessed somebody poaching and what did you do? Ooh.
I think I'm guilty of probably
more
poaching than
no.
Many years.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't think I've really ever caught anybody poaching.
Really? Okay, well, that's not a bad thing to hear because people do it.
Haven't. I'm not out there in the middle of the night, shaking people down looking for them. But it goes on.
For sure.
It goes on.
So now let's talk a little bit more about that. We have a really interesting fishery here, especially the one that you fish out of every day. Mm-hmm. You fish out of Lake Ida a lot.
Yes.
So now that lake is very well regulated by the state. Tell me a little bit about some of the fish that are in there and how they got there.
Okay. There's 3 main species of game fish in there: largemouth bass, clown knife fish, and peacock bass. The largemouth bass are native fish. They're naturally occurring in there. Nobody introduced them. They just got in there, by ways of birds stepping in eggs and transporting. I mean, who knows? Fish get moved around in different ways. Clown knife fish, which are from the aquarium trade, they get big really fast in people's tanks. They outgrow the tanks. People don't want to kill them or hurt them. They throw them in the lake. They've taken off. They're very happy in there. And Lake Ida has the only breeding population of clown knife fish in the continental United States.
Really?
Which makes that a pretty unique fishery. And that's what I really honed in on right away. Like I realized how fun these fish were to catch and target, and they're hard to catch. They're elusive. So that was something that started like my passion for doing the South Florida bass charters thing.
Okay.
Peacock bass were introduced down in Miami in the early to mid 80s, 84, 85, I think, to help combat the non-native fish populations in South Florida. they've kind of worked their way north. I don't think they were ever actually stocked in Lake Ida. I think, they've spread as far north as they can, which is Lake Ida. Then it gets too cold north of Delray or, Lake Worth, and they die off. If the water temperature gets under 60 degrees, peacock bass die. So we're just on the very northern range of them. And we also have bullseye snakeheads. Those two are starting to pop up around Lake Ida. They've taken a little bit longer to spread, but now we're starting to see more of them. Interesting.
So, guys, we're almost out of time. We're going to start winding it down. Before we let you go, just tell me a little bit more about the snakehead and tell me a little bit more about the clown knife fish.
The snakeheads were actually, I believe that they escaped somebody was raising them somewhere in Tamarack or down that way, and their pen broke that was full of them, and all those canals down there are connected, so they just spread like wildfire. They're very resilient. They eat everything. And that, was a big kind of a panic over the whole thing when it started, late 90s, early 2000s. But, I don't see that they're that big of a problem. Okay.
So now tell me about the clown knifefish. Where are they originally from? Because they're...
Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Clown knifefish are from Southeast Asia. They're widely, distributed through that area. People love to eat them. They're a big part of people's diet. I get some customers that are from that part of the world that really... want to eat them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, but
yeah.
Not here. I wouldn't eat them. They're full of bones. I like saltwater fish.
Fair enough.
I'm not a freshwater
totally
fish eater. Not in our canals in South Florida.
Totally
anyway,
understood. Well, good stuff. Bill, again, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming. Yeah, man. We're going to have you back on the show. We got to have you back after the Brazil trip. I want to hear all about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely do something after the Brazil trip. I'll have some exciting new fish stories, Googan stories. We'll see.
I hope so.
We'll see what happens.
Well, good stuff, guys. Thank you again for joining. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Instagram. Again.
I have a few questions, actually.
Yeah, let's hear them.
So, wondering how they can get on the show.
How can we get on the show? Guys, actually, we would kind of like to hear from you. If you would like to be on this podcast, we invite you to send me an email. Send me an email at noah@sateam.company. And we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can get you on. If you're local, it's that much easier. But yeah, we would love to have more people on the show, really interesting people. I think it'd be cool to get hunters, saltwater and fresh alike. Even if someone who's really, really into motorcycles, BMX, jet skis, anything that we can get involved in terms of lifestyle, in terms of activities, we want to be involved in, and we invite you to join us. So send me an email, noah@sateam.company, and we'll talk about it. Sound good? All right, then we will see you next time. Bill, thank you again.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.